You are live. Okay.
All right.
Oh, bloody freak.
Hello. Laughing at us. He's laughing at us. Shut the chopper. He's laughing at us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I just wanted to start with thanking everyone for being here. Jemo, Philip, Bryan, Lyndon. I really do appreciate it. I've known you guys for a few months now online, talking and watching your shows, and I really enjoy your content. So I'm hoping that I can try and bring a bit of the same sort of content to the internet. And with the movie Chopper, especially because it is a pretty important Australian film, because it did kickstart a new wave of Australian cinema for a while, and it's one movie that me and my friends in high school basically quoted to each other every day. And there was, I don't know if I still do, but there was a time when I could recite this movie front to back without a problem. So I just want to start and say thank you all, and let's get into it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Blake. Thanks for inviting us, man. This is great. It's good to see you. You look great.
I sold 250,000 copies and I can't spell. I'm simply bloody illiterate. What about that line, Blake?
There you go, Bryan.
I love the accent. I love the accent when Americans try to.
It's brilliant. And yeah, and for people who don't know, Bryan does like to dress up as a different character or a certain theme for his show on the Icon Show with Jemo and Philip every week. It's his specialty, and he's very, very good at it. And he said before the show he knocked this together just before the show started. So I'm very impressed with your ingenuity.
Thank you, Blake.
Yeah, Bryan, we have a show later tonight, so I'm hoping you didn't shirk your responsibilities. There better be a second costume tonight.
Oh,
There better be.
Looks like it's human resources again.
Bright and early, buddy. Bright and early.
Yeah.
We've got Jay Shadow here. Thanks. Yeah, we've got the furry on the panel.
Fuck you.
All right.
So,
Mr. Hall. Hi, Mr. Hall. How are you, buddy?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Oh,
So-
give me a second. I'll just like it.
All right. So when the movie starts off with Chopper in prison in the late 70s, and it's where he spent most of his life. It's a pretty stark start to the movie. It's very desolate and very bleak, and it sort of portrays it as his home, because that's where he basically feels the safest is in prison, as as you find out. The scenes near the start, did you guys have much of a reaction to them? Because there's a couple early on that are very, very graphic. One in particular. Jemo?
Yeah, no, it caught my attention immediately, I think, just with him stabbing what's the guy's name? The other Keithy George. Right? Yeah, Keithy George, who I guess is like the one of the main guys in prison and is a head honcho there, correct? If I'm right.
Yeah,
And,
so he's one of the connected guys in jail,
right,
to the basically the mob on the outside.
Yep. And then just the what is it? The how Chopper just is casually egging him on and talking shit to him just very nonchalantly, and it's pissing the other guy off so much. It was brilliant, man. I loved it. Love Chopper.
Can you do the quote? When he shanks him? Oh, Keithy's done a mischief, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
No, she's sweet. Oh, Keithy seems to have done himself a mischief.
I love it.
Oh,
Don't worry, I had it ready.
Yeah.
it's impressive. So you mentioned how desolate and kind of bleak the opening of this is. It's almost black and white. There's no color in anything in the background, in the prison uniforms, and there's no music. There's almost no music in this movie at all, to the point where, I mean, there's music when they're at a bar and it's playing in the bar, but there's no extraneous music. It's just so just like you said, bleak and dry and almost, documentary like. There's very little flourish, or it sets off a very unpleasant tone that it works very hard to maintain for 130 minutes, which is very impressive. So I guess my first question for Blake and Lyndon is, prior to the release of this movie, how well known is Mark Chopper Reed in Australia prior to the release of the movie?
Oh, prior? Still pretty iconic.
Yeah.
Not this movie made him like a household name. He was very much a Victorian underworld figure and standover man, and like known down there. But to the rest of Australia, this movie really made him a household name, and his book as well, because his book did launch the movie. And he did like this started like a whole like stand-up tour, national stand-up tour and stuff, where he'd go around doing speaking tours.
Wow.
All sorts of things.
Yep.
Which we'll come back to later, because it does change some of the outcome to the movie, some things that did happen after his sort of rise to fame.
But and
then
he basically, like, even since birth, he grew up in I mean, he didn't really have like a mom and dad kind of father figure or family growing up. He was in a home for the babies or whatever they call it. What do you guys call that out there?
Juvenile detention
center.
center.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So.
Well, wait a minute. Wasn't there a scene where he got out of jail and he went to his father's house?
Yeah. Well, that was
his
later
real
in
father?
life. Yeah, that's his real father. A bit later in life, because he spent, I think it was 13 months he was out of jail between the ages of like 23 and 33 or something.
Right.
So he was in and out for a long time.
Which the humor in that scene was when he first gets out of jail and he has like a designer shirt and his father's like, "Oh, nice shirt. Do they make them for men?" Like the humor in the movie was like great. It was
yeah.
You should watch that show. You should watch our show on Saturday nights. That's about it. Just talking shit to each other.
Yeah.
But it was to us, I took it as, I kind of compared it to the American movie, which took place in England, Snatch with Brad Pitt. Do you remember he was the Irish bare knuckle brawler? It was a cross between Pulp Fiction, not as much Pulp Fiction, more on the Snatch side of it. But the humor was there. Like there was some funny scenes in that movie. Even though it was dark, but like that one there, a little comic release out of this movie.
Well, they really do try and put the humor to not really humanize Chopper, but more say that he finds everything really funny. All this stuff, he finds it funny. Like he does. He sort of gets a little bit of an enjoyment out of a lot of the stuff that he does. And you even see it when they're interviewing him, which those interviews in the movie are intercut between the real life interview that took place with Chopper Reed in prison and the Eric Bana sides. They were just cut back and forwards. And there is a lot of sort of sick, twisted humor to Mark Chopper Reed that comes through pretty early in the movie with the things he does, like with the offering Keithy a cigarette and everything.
Yeah.
That's just after he's basically decapitated him. Yes, Jemo?
Yeah. So to kind of go in a little bit of a chronological order with the movie here, the other thing that I really that sparked me and more attraction for this Chopper character, or the real person actually, was when the betrayal happened with him and Jim.
Yeah, Jimmy
Right?
Loveland.
Yep. Where Jim just walks up to him and just starts stabbing him, and he's just standing there. He's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And just how calm and
Jim.
just calm and nonchalantly he was just it's like, it reminded me of a relationship of like the one me and Philip have, where it's a love-hate relationship where, I one day I would expect Philip to come up and stab me for whatever reason, because there was a contract out of my head, and he may do that. And I'll look at him and be like, what the fuck is your problem? And then, I'll wrestle with him a little bit and tell him to drop the shank, and he'll have me lay down.
So you're making yourself Chopper Reed in this analogy, and I'm Jimmy?
Why? I look at us. Who looks more like Chopper, buddy? Come on.
No.
You look like Jim.
This analogy does not work for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But just, again, how nonchalant he was, and just how cool, calm, and collective. It was really, really, it kind of hit home a little bit for me, That's why I can kind of relate to this guy. Not that I got stabbed by Philip, but maybe some other people. But yeah.
It's a that scene is very that's the change in Chopper, where he's like, I've got no one now. Pretty much, I think that's what it was to me. He's lost his last friend,
right?
Because the other guy there, he's just like a minion, pretty much. Like, he doesn't care about him. But Jimmy was the one that he'd been through pretty much all of it with. Like, Jimmy was the reason. They kind of go into it a little bit in the courtroom scene, but Jimmy is the reason that Chopper was in prison at that time for trying to kidnap the judge.
Right.
For Jimmy, to get Jimmy out.
Yeah.
The reactions to violence from Chopper, whether it's violence to himself in that scene where he's getting stabbed, or when he's doing terrible things to other people, there's always like a kind of childlike expression on his face of just like disappointment, where he seems to be expressing like, why did it have to come to this? Like, look what you made me do, or like, why are you doing this to me? Shoots that guy in the belly, and then is like driving him to the hospital, or like when his reaction after stabbing Keithy in the face is, you can see he's somewhat conflicted. Like, he's kind of disgusted with himself, and then he flips it around and starts egging him on again. He's like, he's very infantile. Like, he's like a kid. Same thing when he sees Neville in the bar, and he feels bad for having shot him in the kneecap years prior. But then he keeps flipping and being like, is he making fun of me, and like leaning into the limp. So I don't know. This is a strange take, but I'm just going to throw it out there. This reminded me of like a really well made, ultra violent Aussie Adam Sandler movie. Where it's like a grown man with the tools of a adolescent and a terrible temper that could go off at any second, and it's also like pretty funny. But just obviously much better made and much darker. That was
he does very much have a childlike sense of humor. And I think it is because, like, I can't really remember off the top of my head, but I don't think they go into it in the movie itself. But he was abused as a child and did, as you said, grow up pretty much institutionalized his entire life. And he basically, he never really mentally grew up. He just sort of stayed as a juvenile in a mental state. And a lot of the things he did, he was sort of saying, you've made me do this. I'm not doing this to you. You've done this to yourself, sort of thing. Yeah. And they do go into that a lot in the commentary of the movie, because there are two on the DVD. There are two commentary tracks. There's one with the director Dominik Andrew Dominik, sorry, and there is another one with Mark Chopper Reed, the real life Mark Chopper Reed. And he very much goes into how he didn't find the torture and everything as violence. He more found it as just something that had to happen. Like, this shooting someone isn't violent. Like, doing the other things isn't violent. It's just a byproduct of what is actually going to happen, or what needs to happen. And there's a sort of a moral, a sick moral code in his head that he follows, that if he doesn't do it, someone else was put here to do it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's very weird him talking about violence. Like if you watch the 60 Minutes interview with him, like just before he passed away, they were talking about, I can't remember who it was. She's like, that was a very violent death. Like you gave someone, and he's like, no, not that one. That was just a quick and easy one. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And then he goes, you know what violence is? Violence is putting someone's mouth on a gutter and then stomping his head in. I'm like, he's like, that's violence. I'm like, okay, this dude is fucking wow.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Well,
There's levels.
I mean, the upbringing too that he had. I mean, he was constantly in and out of, juvenile detention centers, prison, and everything. I mean, they gave the poor guy electroshock therapy, and he basically like laughed them off when he was kind of getting that. So I kind of did a little more research on Mr. Reed there, but yeah, it's just an amazing story just from him alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting character.
That last comment by Jade, though, that scene where he goes to his girlfriend's house, and it's just, I mean, it's not funny, but it kind of is funny because he's like, Mom, stay out of it. And then he beats her up, and then he headbutts the mother. It's like, but the way he's talking, like, Mom, stay out of it. I was just laughing.
Yeah. And that probably is the most, well, nowadays that it would be the most controversial part of the movie today.
Right.
But then, because the director goes into it, the audience, that's when the audience turns on Chopper. But then there is this, I think it is straight after that, is the scene in the bar, where he notices the blonde lady off to the side, and he gets his nod out. Yeah, and that's like, he says that, and then that's he sort of won the audience back then, because he was like, that was horrific. So you definitely need to lighten the mood after that, and there is a lot of juxtaposition of the really heavy stuff to following it up with just straight humor afterwards, and it does a really good job of doing that, I think.
Now, is it true, like the last murder at Bojangles, like, it's a true story? So do people really go there and do photo ops of, what happened? Is that true to life?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if it's not there anymore. It's like a health spa or something now, but back in the day, that was, as he said, he did his part for Victorian tourism.
Yeah,
Right.
in the interview, right.
There we go. And then, so his ears.
Oh yeah.
Who was the guy that cut his ears off? Was that like a friend of his, or I didn't get too much info from that guy, but just to have the fucking wherewithal to go into, we call it out here solitary confinement, to where you're alone in prison. The balls that he's got, man, to do that. Who in their right mind would?
Death.
Sorry?
It was either that or death.
He was pretty much marked, and he had no friends, pretty much no recourse to do anything. And the people that were after him, like he was against pretty much most of the Victorian underworld.
Right.
And that was some pretty heavy hitters at the time.
Didn't he kidnap some of them and robbed like the drug dealers and
Oh yeah, that's what he did when I think before he got into jail and after he got out of jail, that was how he made his money. He would just go to drug dealers' house and say, look, I know you just picked up 60 grand on the weekend. I'll take 10 grand off you now. I'm here to collect it. I can just, this is the mail. Collect it now if you like. And he'd just take the cash off him. And if he didn't, he'd shoot him. Yeah, there's a few instances where he has driven them to the hospital, they say, afterwards.
Wow.
Two of the funniest moments in this movie for me are shortly after he has his ears cut off, which was pretty fucking funny in and of itself. But there's there's a cut and like a time jump, and he's out in the real world again. He's put on some weight. We don't know like how much time has elapsed, and he's with his date, who who works in the brothel, Tanya.
Yeah.
And he looks so uncomfortable just outside of prison, like wearing non-prison clothes, just interacting with the woman, and she's trying to make him comfortable and trying to seduce him. And he just says, again, like a little kid, "You're looking at my ears, aren't you?" I started laughing so hard because, of course, the guy who cut his ears off is constantly thinking everybody's looking at my ears for the rest of his life, right? Especially outside of prison, where that makes almost no sense at all. Yeah. And then they go to the bar, and he gets in the fight with Tanya, pulls out a gun, and fires 5 shots into the air at the bar. And then they cut to them in the car together, and he looks like this sad little kid who knows he's in trouble. And he just is like, I started laughing so hard. He's like, and he starts trying to apologize for grabbing her, violently pulling her out of the bar and firing a gun in the air and threatening to kill a guy and call him a cripple. Yeah. And then he's like, "I'm really sorry. Everyone was looking at my ears. They're looking at my tats." And he's just like so ill-equipped. It's first of all, Eric Bana is just knocks it out of the park. He is such a good performance. It's just such a weird performance, and I loved it. It's hilarious.
Absolutely. A few things I want to just touch on quickly that we've just gone over then. Originally, Chopper's plan was to actually cut his hand off. There was a big piece of sheet metal, or like in the yard, or like a tin from like the shower or something. And his original plan was to flatten it out and cut his hand off, and get a hook put on there. And wow. the guy who ended up cutting his ears off goes, "They're not going to let you have a hook in jail, you idiot. You're going to get a hook after you get out of jail." And he's like, "Yeah, think that's clever." He goes, "So just cut my ears off." And then he goes, "Okay." And then he starts just sort of hacking at him, and then he goes, "Just lop him off." But there's so there's a couple of things, because he partly, because they make it out that he did it to himself. They don't tell the screws that the other inmate did it, because he would have gotten in a lot of trouble as well. Right. So they made it out that Chopper did it to himself, partly to make him look insane, to get moved out of that division, and partly to get out of there immediately to the medical wing. And also, when he does get out of jail, that is really the first part of the film where we actually see color. Like he's got the jacket on. He's in the room with Tanya with the orange red lights, and it's basically like when he goes to the nightclub, he's constantly bombarded with the things that he's not used to, and he almost misses jail, you think, after a while, because he says that in other interviews in his life that he felt more at home in jail than outside of jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I think pretty effectively communicated by the filmmaker and Eric Bana. Obviously Eric Bana went on to have a pretty successful career, some of it in Hollywood, and I didn't know much about him, and just a quick internet search on him, was surprised to hear that he was a stand-up comedian and like an improv comic prior to this, because I did not know that. That actually makes a lot of sense when I rewatched the movie, because he approaches it. It's a pretty hysterical performance, and I actually went back and found episodes of an Aussie TV show that I think was called Full Frontal that he was in, where he was playing a character named Poiter.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. It's good.
Oh
stuff.
Yeah. He was just he was like a sketch comedian on TV shows and stuff back in the day, and then he got this role where you say where he does come out, he gets out of jail. There was a break in filming there where he put on 30 pounds in between the jail scenes and the being outside scenes, and for basically someone who was just known as a sketch comedian or like a TV comedian, the performance that he gave was pretty much groundbreaking. It did launch his career overseas, and it launched the director's career. But Eric Bana, right off the bat, like I think straight away after this, he went over and did Black Hawk Down.
Yeah, and he did Troy. He was in Troy too with Brad Pitt.
Yeah, Troy a few years after, and yeah, it was he had a pretty big run from this performance, almost single-handedly. Yeah, Hulk, yeah.
But you can't forget the Castle, originally.
Yeah, the Castle. There's another movie that I'll probably be talking about in another episode we do later on. It would be the quintessential Australian comedy, The Castle. Like there is nothing that comes close. And with that, I'd like to welcome Lethal Lightning.
Hello. How we doing, fellas? Good to see you all.
Hello, sir. All right.
Fucking hello. Fucking hello. How we fucking doing? Fucking hello.
Cheers.
Hello? Hello? You got your finger in your mouth there, little one.
Oh, you're a cheeky little one, aren't you? Hello, Shazza. That's actually one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, that part. It's like I came in, you guys were just talking about how Eric Bana was a comedian, and this movie is actually unintentionally pretty funny in a lot of ways. Yeah. But that I feel that scene like just amplifies it all, but it just ends perfectly with like he's all friendly to him and all that, and he's like, "Oh, who says crime doesn't pay? This is lush." And then he gets outside with him, and he's like, "Your pregnant wife's a drug addict. Take the money."
And it's not the drugs.
Yeah,
right.
So good, man.
And he knows the guy's involved in trying to kill him, too.
Yeah.
And he's still like, "Yeah, mate, just you're fucking off the rails."
Yeah, because towards the end of the movie, when he's in court for confessing to a crime that he had to convince the cops that he actually did, he says, "Your only witness is an 8-month pregnant drug addict. What the fuck is she doing out at 3 a.m?"
Yeah, stoned off her tits and Bojangles.
This movie is great, man. I rewatched it not too long ago because it had been years since I'd last seen it. I put it on. I was a bit worried. I was like, "Is this as good as I remember?" It's probably not even that good, actually. And then I was like, "Nah, this is great, man. This is better than I remember." But I don't know how true it is, but I remember hearing that it was actually Chopper, like real Chopper's idea for them to cast Eric Bana. Yeah. And the studio said like, no fucking way. And like he had to talk him into it and all that, which is pretty good, man. I think he saw something in him. And just the other day, my friend, he gave me the Blowtorch trilogy, the book, which is his fiction novels.
Okay, cool.
Nice. Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad. He's not a bad writer for someone that can't read.
Wow. Can't even bloody spell.
Yeah.
He lost my thought. It is very much. Oh yeah, sorry, that's right. Yeah, this movie was in development for about 6 to 8 years before it came out. Like it took a long time to get off the ground, both funding wise, I think, and also a lot of people balked at the idea of putting money into a movie about Chopper Read. But even the book was a bestseller. There was a lot of pushback against it, I think, in the sort of general film community, I guess. But afterwards, I mean, up until The Hangover, I believe it was the highest grossing Australian R-rated movie, or the highest grossing R-rated movie in Australia.
I could believe that, which is pretty impressive. Yeah. It's when you watch it, it's pretty cheap. Like there's not really a whole lot to it, but I think that kind of makes it better, in all honesty. I consider this to be like one of the. This is top 5 Australian movies, I reckon.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and especially in the time it came. Like there was, as we talked about before, a few, just around the same time there was, I think it was 3 years before, maybe 1 or 2 years before, there was The Castle, the Australian comedy, which is also in a very different way one of the probably top 5 Australian movies of all time. But this one sort of started a whole wave of a very different type of Australian cinema for a while.
Well, we wouldn't have like those. Not that I think highly of them, like those underbelly shows and all that. Like there'd be none of them without this movie. This one kind of started a lot of that crime genre. Not the crime genre, but like a renaissance of crime genre in Australia.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like Blue Murder and shit like that.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, in America, there was a series of TV shows here called Underbelly that focused on a lot of different sections of the criminal underworld and certain figures. And there were anthology series, so each series was fairly different and different characters, but some did cross over into the different ones. They even did make an actual short series about Chopper Reed. And they, that was basically the biggest thing on Australian TV for probably 5 to 10 years, I'd say. And
every time there was a new series, it pulled big numbers.
Yeah, and it launched a lot of careers as well. And it pretty much, you can all trace it all back to the success of Chopper.
Have you guys spoken about Vince Colosimo yet?
Not yet, no.
Oh my god, Vince Colosimo is just as good as Eric Bana in this, man. He is fucking amazing, man. Every time I see Vince Colosimo in any movie, any show, you can't help but think of Neville Bartos.
Hey, Neville. Neville. Nev.
Yeah?
That was scene so fucking good.
He the first that Vince Colosimo plays Neville Bartos, and as I was talking about the R rating before, in the commentary track, the director goes into there is a certain amount of F words you are allowed to use in an R movie, and for those R rating in Australia is different to an R rating in America. R here is strictly 18 and over. No people under 18 admitted at all, even with parents or anything. And the reason the movie got an R is because Vince Colosimo exceeded the quota of F words in one sentence allowed. and a lot of it was improv. I think he just sort of went off the cuff because he grew up in that area of Melbourne in Lygon Street, and he said he knew a lot of characters like that, so he sort of based it and portrayed it off certain people. And so the reason there is an R rating isn't a lot for the violence, it is for the amount that Neville Bartos says fuck.
I'd say it's well worth it. Yeah,
agreed.
Oh, absolutely.
He's excellent. Just watching how quickly Eric Bana counts to 20 and stands up and shoots him right in the gut. Wow, it just happens so quickly. You know, we're kind of wired to see scenes like that in movies and to have them drawn out and like be like suspenseful and tense. And this just like happens so quickly. And Neville's like saying, "Well, I'm not going to give you any money." Then all of a sudden he's just shot in the belly, and everyone again it's just like, why did this was so unnecessary? But here we are. I've shot you.
There's no cash here.
No cash.
Yeah, no cash.
Listen, mate. What are you talking about?
Cash.
There's no cash here. Here, there's no cash. All right? Cash, no. Robbo? No cash.
So good. And the way like when he sees him at the nightclub, the way he like pulls down the top of his shirt and he's like, "I'm fucking flying, mate. Look at me. I'm fucking flying."
Yeah.
That's the one I think sad thing that came out of this movie as to do with the people involved with it is that Vince Colosimo, he is an actor that really should have had a good run internationally. Like, he is low key one of Australia's best actors, and he has been for a very long time, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And yeah, so the international people probably won't know who he is besides Chopper. Like, that's one of his only sort of internationally known roles, I think. Besides, he was in the Underbelly series as a different character, but I don't really know how much that got out overseas. I think it did get a little bit of play overseas, but not as much as Chopper did.
You're right. It is a shame because he's a pretty big deal over here. Like, if he's in something and, like, say, like, there's a poster of a show or a movie he's in, like, over here, his name will be, like, the big name on it. But you ask people overseas and they haven't really heard of him much. It is a shame, man, because everything he's in, he's really good. Like, he's even in that Spartacus show for half a season, man. Yeah,
I haven't watched it all.
Bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, but yeah, he plays a pirate in it. He's basically Neville Bardos, but in Roman times in that show as well.
Oh, cool. I've checked out a little bit of it. I used to work with one of the dudes in it, Dustin Clare. He played Gannicus, I think.
No shit.
Yeah, I worked with him for a while. He was a good dude.
Small world.
Yeah. So, where were we up to? Yeah, just the Neville Bartos scene, pretty much. So yeah, there are a lot of stories that Chopper did drive people he shot to the hospital straight afterwards, and would deny it vehemently.
Yeah. What's the line? What do I look like? Fucking Mark Medicare Chopper Reed?
Fucking Mother Teresa over here.
It's insulting. It's bloody insulting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the line in the bar when he was talking to the cops, like, if I shot him, would I really drive him to the hospital? I shot him. I wouldn't drive him to the hospital. And he's like, oh, yeah, you did, buddy.
All the scenes.
Never shot him in the first place.
Yeah,
I love
that
scenes with him talking with the cops is so good every time, man. Even like when he pulls his dick out and shit, and the cops like, fucking put it away. He says something. He's like, do you want to touch it or some shit?
Yeah.
And when he tries,
I understand, Mr. Downey.
Sorry, cut you off there.
I was gonna say, even the part where he tries to give him the gun as well towards the end of the movie. Like, we already got the gun. We already got the guy that did it. He's like, no, you fucking don't. Like, I'm standing right here.
He's the fucking gun.
We're not taking the gun, Chopper, because it's a fucking murder weapon.
I don't think I've ever been as bloody insulted as I am right now.
Like, you can see it as well. He's sitting there, like, mouth open. Like, are you serious? Is this for real?
Yeah, it's like one of the only times someone's confessed to a murder and the police just laugh them off when they've literally got the murder weapon sitting in front of them.
All the scenes with his dad as well, I absolutely adore. All the scenes with his dad when he comes and goes, I used to be something. Now I can't even get arrested in this place.
Yeah, his dad. A lot of the his dad's scenes were cut down, and one was cut out of the movie. But he is in it a little bit more. But he offers a great performance as well. I think it's Graham. Oh, I can't remember what's his name.
I'm not sure, actually.
Listed.
It's not listed.
I'm really surprised he never killed Jimmy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I thought for sure Jimmy was a goner, especially when he goes to pay him a visit after he gets out of prison, and then he points a gun to his head, and yelling at
all the guns through the door, like the comical style scene where he just pulls another one out and another gun out.
Yeah.
Hands four or five guns through the door.
That's crazy. And then towards the end, he gives him a wad of cash, and that was it. Again, not for drugs, you know. but he loved him. You know, like you said earlier, that was really his only true friend, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, he had a relationship, a sort of a decent sort of relationship with his dad, although his dad did sort of torture him a fair bit as well, I think. But yeah, I think Jimmy was sort of his last and only friend in the world. And once he was gone, he was sort of like, well, because that scene in particular where he does put the gun to his head, he's almost like, I can't kill my last connection in this world. Even though he knows he's going to be after him and he's going to probably have to go back to jail because that's where he's going to be safest almost. He still can't kill him.
Yeah. Poor Jimmy. Like when he's talking with his dad as well, and his dad's telling him, like, man, fuck Jimmy, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, but he's on the drugs, you know, life fucked him and rah, rah, rah. He's like, well, kind of did.
Yeah.
But I assume you've already spoken about the jail scenes. Like, that shit is just, it's actually, I think that's some of the funniest shit in the whole movie, man. Bit early in the morning for Kung Fu, isn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Still stabbing him and shit. But if you don't stop stabbing me, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
And that,
his
and all those scenes.
pain was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was one of the things about Chopper, I think, in real life. Like, he was sort of a real psycho, so he sort of didn't feel pain a lot of the time, but he sort of just sort of walked through it a bit. But
well, like you see the interviews where he takes his shirt off, and it's like, ooh,
yeah.
Oh, especially the real life interviews that he's done, like the last interview he did that Lyndon was talking about before on 60 Minutes.
Yep.
There's one where he takes his shirt off, and you just see all the the stab wounds, the bullet wounds, everything in him, and he's pretty messed up because he ended up dying of stomach cancer, I think. And
that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, quite a large tumor in his stomach as well. So he was very, very messed up by the end of his life.
Now, is he? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Leaf lightly.
I was going to say, I think it's in the same interviews where he pulls up his shirt and shows the girl that's interviewing him, and he's like, you know, fucking look at this, you know, and he's showing off this like huge tumor on him, and he's like, it's pretty ugly, isn't it? So he kind of had that. Eric Bana did an actual really good job of just portraying his whole demeanor and attitude in the movie.
Oh yeah, down to like he's everything, his mannerisms. I'll be putting the link in the description when the video's up and everything. But there are DVD extras, and there are some on YouTube, and there are clips of where the director and Eric Bana went to Chopper's farm. A couple of years before it came out, about 2 years before it came out, they'd already filmed it, I think, or maybe not. No, they were just about to start filming, and they were looking at a release date of about 2 years away, and they go into it, and you can see Eric Bana as Chopper's doing things, like sort of Eric Bana would sort of mimic him, just sort of like subtly, like to sort of work on and build up the mannerisms and the actual demeanor of Chopper Read. And yeah, he won an Australian Film Institute award for it, which is like sort of our Oscars. And that still to this day, it would be the performance of his career, I'd say. Talent wise, like he's done bigger movies and everything, but Chopper Read would be his best performance for me. Yes, Jemo.
Where is he buried? Cremated? Frozen?
I think frozen. Jemo.
When I die, I want to be frozen.
He's next to Walt Disney somewhere.
Yeah.
No, I think he's probably buried down in Tasmania, because that's where Eric Bana and the director went to visit him. He had a like a small farm property outside of Hobart in Tasmania. Yeah. And that's where he spent the end of his life. And I think that's probably where he's buried, I'd say.
Now, do you think a lot of people go and visit his burial ground there?
Probably not anymore.
Right, I'd imagine you'd get like edgy teenagers and shit.
Sure.
Yeah.
But that's probably...
That's
I know.
It, huh?
I'd say
Tassie, you only go to Tassie for 2 reasons: to die or fuck your cousin.
Oh. All right.
Well, I had a third reason to the list.
Yeah.
There we go.
You could maybe do all 3.
Yeah.
Well, I learned something today about Tassie. Well, the Tasmania, we call it Tassie.
Yeah,
I learned
Tassie.
that, and
Yeah.
then I learned Lethal Lightning's facts. It's nice to participate in like a regional hatred in a country that I've never been to. Thanks for the opportunity. That's kind of fun.
When you
fuck
tune into
Victoria.
the full Aussie, you'll find you'll get the Victorian facts as well, which is interesting to find out as foreigners.
Indeed. No, it's funny. So I wanted to ask if I don't know if it's possible for those of you who were aware of Mark Chopper Reed before watching the movie, but divorcing what you know about him in real life versus what was portrayed in the film. The movie opens very purposefully with a title card saying, "This is a dramatization. Like we took liberties with the story, right?" And then throughout the movie, I feel like the filmmaker was kept hinting at the possibility that everything that we were seeing, as far as like these mythological acts of violence, were made up. I feel like that's a possible reading of the film, that he's just either embellishing or making up the Mark Chopper Reed, not the real person, but the character in the movie. Is they come right out and call him a bullshit artist at one point, but that even like the stabbing of Keithy at the starting, the way afterwards he's talking to the warden or whoever he was talking to, and he's saying, no, this person didn't see anything, this person didn't see anything. Obviously he's doing that so he doesn't get in trouble, but it felt also like kind of a thesis statement, like it's going to be difficult to believe anything that you see or that anyone says in this movie. I don't know if anyone else had a similar reading of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I mean, like, what's the thing he says? Never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a bit of a bullshit artist. Like, make no mistake, he was a murderer, and like he did do quite a lot of those things. He did live that life, but a lot of other like real prominent Australian criminals as well have said like a lot of it's bullshit. So a lot of it was just outright made up. Maybe not necessarily in this movie, but definitely in his books and shit. So he always had a tendency to make it sound larger than life, but like the core fundamentals are real or were real. If you get my drift.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the film it's sort of it's basically Chopper's point of view. The movie. It's a lot of it is he's in pretty much every scene, and it's a lot of from his point of view what is happening. So I kind of liken it a bit to the Joker in The Dark Knight. So like his story does change a bit when he does tell a lot of the recounts of the things that happened, but there is a hint of the truth in there. He might just change certain scenarios or like some of the details, but like he did kill Sammy the Turk. Like he lied about it was self-defense and everything. He made up a lot of different stories, but he did kill that guy in the movie. And a lot of it comes down to, as Lethal said, and as Chopper says in the movie, don't let the truth get in the way of telling a good yarn. And they did amalgamate a lot of characters in this movie. Like Neville Bartos isn't a real person, I don't think. He's like the amalgamation of Sid Collins, the bikie, and a couple other dudes who were like, they just sort of molded those movie stories into one to flesh out the movie a bit more and to sort of tell more of Chopper's story in a entertaining and sort of a cohesive way.
Yeah, but you know, like I said as well, like the general outline is real. just over embellished to give it a bit more. I don't know. I guess it's the wrong word for the situation, but to like Hollywood it up a bit, you know, got to give it a bit of pizzazz.
Yeah, he's
in its
gonna
own
he's gonna
dark and
spice
gritty
it up
way.
a bit to like sort of he sort of entertains himself as much with the stories as he does like trying to tell what happened.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, what
I'll
about
be-
the spin-off? Like I saw when I was after I watched it, and I went online and Fat Belly. Is that Reed's him telling the real story?
In a way, yeah, I think.
Yeah, in a way, similar type of thing, like over exaggerated, you know, jazzed up a little bit, but
Yeah.
same type of deal.
I honestly I fell asleep watching Fat Belly last night because it was a little boring.
Yeah.
I'd
little
say
bit.
Chopper is a lot better.
Yeah, 1,000 times better. And to be quite honest, I had to watch Chopper, I think, the actual movie, maybe 2.5 times, I think, and kind of skim through little bits and pieces of it just because in the beginning parts of it, you know, I'm ignorant and I couldn't really understand the thick Australian accents. I'm like, what the fuck are they saying? Where are the subtitles, you know? But after a little while, you know, obviously, you know, my brain kind of works in different ways after I smoke the weed sometimes, and I got it. I was like, all right, this is it. This is perfect. I understand. Yeah. And it's not as thick as you guys now, though. You know, is there like a different area that Chopper was from where you guys are?
It was in Victoria.
Yeah.
Victoria,
So
okay.
me and Lyndon further north, we're in New South Wales. Lethal's just to the west of Victoria in South Australia. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of like I guess. I mean, it's not really as stark, I don't think, as the American like Boston, like sort of California coast to coast accent.
you know,
but there are
Texas
sort of subtle.
people.
Yeah, there are sort of subtle differences in the Australian sort of accent. Like
Okay.
when you go out in the country and stuff,
Hmm.
you'll need subtitles then, I'd say, because
Yeah.
especially with the slang and stuff they'll use. Like there is a fair bit of it in the movie, like where they talk about the painters and the dockers and stuff. There is a lot of slang to what they're talking about, like the union bosses and the mafia and that sort of stuff.
Okay. Philip, we're gonna have to go to Australia soon.
Yeah, we're vaccinated.
Well, yeah, I'm ready.
Nice.
I'm ready. Brian, you in?
Show down
I'm
under.
in.
I love it. Let's do it. All right. Next year, 2022.
Excellent.
Writing it down.
So, Blake, and to anyone else, I'd like to pose a question. So, the filmmaker, the writer director, Andrew Dominik, who went on to make some pretty interesting films. Blake, I guess I'd start with you since you chose this movie. Is this your favorite of Andrew Dominik's feature-length movies?
Oh yeah, I haven't seen all of his ones. I know he did the ones he did a few with Brad Pitt over in America. The assassination of Jesse James one and the killing them softly.
That's right.
I haven't seen the Jesse James one, but I saw Killing Me Softly. It's very I mean, people have called that like his American Chopper.
I didn't think it was. I think it had a couple of great scenes in it, but was not the fully formed movie the way Chopper is. I thought Ben Mendelsohn he's an Aussie actor, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's
another
fantastic.
One. Yeah, he's another one, sort of like Vince Colosimo. He was basically like our headline actor here for a long, long time, and he's done a lot of really great work here, but never sort of got that break in America. But yeah, after recently, like he's done a lot of stuff, and after I think it was really The Dark Knight Rises, and that sort of made him a bit more well known in America. And then he got sort of shows like Bloodlines, and then he did Animal Kingdom here, and that sort of that was basically like his Chopper performance, like, kind of. But that wasn't. He wasn't portraying anyone real, I don't think.
Yeah, no, he's a phenomenal actor, and the scene where he does heroin and can't keep his eyes open is the stuff of legend. It's pretty hilarious. But yeah, he's an interesting filmmaker. Like the assassination of Jesse James and Killing Them Softly feel like a lot more stylized than Chopper, like by a significant amount. Just a little bit more like camera movement and color and music, whereas Chopper was just so spare. So it's interesting to see what direction he's gone in since Chopper.
Well, I know in the movie Chopper, they had to cut days off the production because his ratio got out of hand, like his film to on-screen ratio, where they so what you film to what is going to actually end up on screen, like you have a ratio. So he's usually like to keep it around, I think generally it's about 10 to 1, around there, 10 to 1 to about 20 to 1, because otherwise you're just way overshooting and you're just going to get inundated with film and it's going to cost too much. But that was back when people were shooting on film and it did cost a lot more. But digital now, it goes out the window pretty much. And this movie could have been, like, if they have kept a lot of the scenes that they cut in, it could have been a lot longer and maybe not as cohesive. But one of the scenes especially was the scene where he does go to Jimmy Lufton and visit and Shazani's daughter's there. That was the part of the film that they took a day out of the schedule, and the director said that really scared him, because it was that's 10% of the movie, that scene, because it was 12 minutes straight of just dialogue between the two of them.
Wow.
With pretty much no cuts. Well, there's cuts, but no real camera movements and no sort of action of any sorts until, like, he pulls the gun out and everything. And to take a day out of that schedule, where they've basically got to shoot pretty much 12 pages, is pretty nuts for the movie. Especially a small budget Australian movie where every day counts. Like, one of the things with Australian filmmaking is the budgets are, like, when people say like a small budget American movie, like $50 million, that would be one of the biggest movies ever made here, a $50 million budget movie. Like, there are big movies that come here, but a lot of them don't originate from here with that sort of budget. Sorry.
Well, just talking about that, the only thing we've had like the biggest budget would be now is Thor, the new Thor movie coming up, because Marvel really can't film as much over in the US, so they're filming here. Yeah, with like a few movies, Marvel movies, something like that. Maybe that's the biggest.
Yeah, well, we get those ones like The Matrix and some of the prequels, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. Like, they come here from overseas, but with homegrown ones, I don't know if they count it as homegrown, but Happy Feet might be one of the biggest budget Australian movies, I think.
What about the Fury Road? That's
don't bring up Fury.
That did a fair bit too. That would have, but yeah, I mean, that I would have said that, but they did have to move out of Australia to film that.
It was filmed in was it
South Africa?
Was it?
I think, yeah.
South Africa, yeah. Africa, yeah.
Because what actually happened was the landscape where they were going to shoot, it was just after we have droughts here all the time, but it was just after a flood, so it actually ended up looking like really lush and green. And they were like, well, we can't shoot like a post-apocalyptic Mad Max movie in this. It looks like a meadow. So they're like, we're gonna have to scrap this and go over to South Africa somewhere and find like a big, like, open, like, dry, drought-ridden desert and stuff. I mean, they still could have found one here, but I think they were just sort of scrambling for time, yeah. But I don't like that movie, so.
No one in this country likes that movie.
Interesting. It was a huge hit in America.
Yeah.
Here it's got one of the biggest week-to-week drop-offs.
Wow.
Wow.
So we're like, oh, fuck yeah, new Mad Max, let's go see it. And then we're like, what the fuck is that? That was trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a decent movie, just not a Mad Max movie.
I agree. All you got to do is take the words Mad Max off the title and you have a decent movie.
You don't even need to call Tom Hardy Max. Like, you call him Max in the movie, just
Mad Max.
Yeah.
See, it was all of it. Damn near all of that movie would have been fixed if you took the words Mad Max off the title. You take the words Mad Max off the title, my biggest complaint was, I'd say, it seems like it's pretty much ripped off Mad Max. But, oh well. Whatever. But I think it's a better rip-off of a Mad Max movie than an actual Mad Max movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, fuck that movie.
I apologize for triggering everyone in the country of Australia. That was not my intention. Now I know.
No. There's a lot of movies like that. I mean, like that Baz Luhrmann movie, Australia.
Yeah, that's shit, dude.
Oh, I know. That was everywhere. Like, they marketed that fucking ever.
It doesn't have like 12 different endings or some shit. You're like, oh, I fucking get it. It's got Hugh Jackman and Kylie Minogue. I get it. All right. Like, God bless Kylie. She is queen. But Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
Oh, now I care even less.
Oh.
No, yeah, that was I don't even think I made it to the end of that movie. But that was everywhere.
Spoiler alert, Japan bombed Darwin.
I think I do remember that bit. But yeah, it was a fucking like, he was on Oprah and everything. I think that was when Oprah came here, and or Ellen, and like the marketing tied into it, and it was just like, because they came to Sydney to do the marketing and everything, and you could not escape it when we're here, when like you live here. So it just sort of pissed me off even more, and I think I sort of hated the movie before it even came out.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah.
There's only one.
It's a Raging Rhino recommends movie.
I know this Raging Rhino guy. Yeah. He's the one with the bad feet, right? Blake?
According to Apollo, yeah.
Okay. I don't know why it's in my head. I don't know why.
That was the first comment when I was on your show. That was the first comment from Apollo, was something about Raging Rhinos.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Good. And Blake, are you doing anything now with any film? Are you?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
A lot of it has been on and off here for quite a while. Things are getting back, but a lot of it is like, we've got Thor happening at the moment, but a lot of it is just few and far between projects. So you sort of have to hunt a lot, and a lot of them haven't been happening in Sydney. So usually a lot of them do happen up on the Gold Coast or in Queensland, where it's sort of more tropical, and it's they've got the Warner Brothers studio is still up there, and we've got the Fox studio down in Sydney. So it's sort of like different studios will just choose different locations. So a lot of the Warner ones and your stuff will go up there. Some of the Disney ones do go up there, like Pirates, I think, filmed up off Queensland. But we've got Love and Thunder. Thor: Love and Thunder's been filming around quite a bit of Sydney, as Lyndon has been covering on his channel, and also for Geeks and Gamers online. He does a lot of work for that.
Yeah, because Fox got acquired by Disney, so that's why obviously they can use the studio much easier now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that does that cause any discomfort? Isn't the filmmaker from New Zealand?
Yeah, Taika.
Yeah. Does that cause like conflicted feelings of like civic pride that they're filming in your country, but it's being helmed by a?
No, what the problem with Taika is when he says, "I'll ruin your mythos in a minute, baby," and he doesn't give a fuck about the story. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But
okay.
That's I don't give a fuck. He's Kiwi. Only when the footy's on or the cricket's on.
There is that rivalry, but like a lot of like he does a lot of his movies in New Zealand, and like Peter Jackson takes a lot of his project, pretty much all of his projects, I think, to New Zealand, and sort of Hemsworth is kind of doing the same. So I'm glad that, and because he's been with the character from day one, and this is a new director to the franchise from the last movie, so it's a lot better, I think, that he's sent it. Hemsworth has brought the production here rather than the directors taking it to New Zealand or whatever. I mean, because New Zealand has a pretty thriving film industry through both Weta and with Peter Jackson, what he does through Weta, they get a lot of because they are a visual effects studio as well. They do get a lot of international work. We have Animal Logic here, which isn't. I don't think it's as big as Weta, but it is still a pretty big player in the VFX industry. That's why you'll see like a lot of the films when you see like the tag at the bottom, like filmed with the assistance of the New South Wales Film Grant Fund or the Victorian. A lot of it is just because of the VFX or the post-production work gets farmed out here. So because the dollar does go a lot further. It's like the Disney studios were here in the 90s. We had did a lot of the animated movies, like the sequels, like Lion King 2, Aladdin 2, Return of Jafar, and Aladdin 3. A lot of them came out of Australia.
Wow.
One of my so my animation teacher was a Disney animator for a long time, and he was one of the heads of Disney Australia.
Oh.
So yeah,
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
yeah, he was a great dude. He did a lot of cool stuff. He did a lot of work on the character the Phantom as well, Phantom comics and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a cool animator.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
It's badass.
So, any other points from the film that anyone wanted to get through or get to or anything? Yes, Jemo?
Thanks, sir. Thank you. So at the end of the film, with him sitting in that, so it's part of the beginning as well. You know, and he's sitting in his prison, in his jail cell, watching his own interview. Like, I can't go back and watch my own show sometimes. You know, I'll kind of skim through it and see like the funny parts and take a clip and then post it or whatever. But for him to sit there and just kind of bullshit with his buddies about the interview I loved it. Loved every part of it. Man. It was great.
Well, yeah, and it sort of really plays into the narrative of Chopper that he's sort of he's entertaining himself for the most part. Like a lot of the things he does is for his own like edification sort of thing.
Agreed. And the fact that he's kind of witness to everything that's happening in his life and less of a participant.
He was mad that there wasn't more footage. He's like, oh, they should have kept playing. And he's like, then the jail guards were like, you only get 60 minutes, guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's prime time, you know. And he's like, he wanted more. He wanted more. But yeah, that was funny. It was kind of like he was out at home, like,
Is that it?
Is that it? That's right.
Yeah, he as I said at the start, that was real footage intercut. So they would just film the Eric Bana stuff, and he would say the stuff that Mark Chopper Reed said in real life, and they would cut backwards and forwards between the real life interviewer and the actual on-screen performance of Eric Bana. And they did it really well, matching and everything.
Yeah.
Which just adds to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, the lady interviewing she was a real life reporter back in the early 90s, I think it was. Yeah.
Wow.
Rene Brack. She was like I don't know if she was on national, but she was definitely like the Victorian, like state sort of wide reporter. I don't know. I think it's sort of the same over there. You guys have like the national, like reporters and stuff, and then you have like the more state and local and everything.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Like
So and with
Barbara
the end
Walters.
of the movie,
Yeah, right. Yeah. Back in the day, she was it.
So with the end of the movie, he is in jail alone now, and it's sort of bookends, like sort of where he begins. Like he's always going to be, well, I mean, he's passed now, but I mean, he was always going to be alone in a sense. Like he had a family after he did get out of jail, and he has he left behind a wife and 2 kids, but I don't think he was ever sort of out of prison mentally.
I didn't realize he had kids.
Yeah.
Are any of them on this show today?
Bryan's about to reveal himself.
No.
Yeah. How old are his kids now?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure he had them after he got out of prison. So I'd say they'd be around in their 20s, maybe.
Wow.
30s.
And no word from them on any criminal underground stuff. I'm sure they're not following his footsteps, right?
I was going to say no. They declined to be on the show today. But no, I don't really know anything about them at the moment.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so the movie does end with Chopper back in jail for I think I kind of skipped over this a bit, but there is the whole setup from Jimmy Lufton and Neville Bartos and all the people who are after Chopper, and he does. They do try and set him up at Bojangles,
right?
And there is a great scene where they show it in the courtroom where they're recounting the events almost like a limerick or a poem, and he's going through it all and the events, how it happens, and he's like, it was all a lark, and the idiots led him out to the wrong car park, and it sort of plays into it because like Chopper did end up becoming a writer and stuff, and it plays into how he thinks, I guess. Like he thinks it is all a work, like Shakespeare said, like, the world's a play, the world's a stage, everyone's an actor, and he kind of really plays into that, I think, with it. But the main thing is that you don't know, but he does admit it later in his life. But they portrayed in the movie that Sammy, Chopper half portrayed. He tells it, but they don't show it in the movie the first time. How Sammy takes the gun from Chopper and tries to shoot him, and Chopper does kill him in self-defense, but he has admitted later in life that was bullshit, that he did kill Sammy the Turk because he knew they were after him, and he knew if he didn't get him, then he was going to get him later on. So, yeah. And that was one of the things I did want to talk about, because there is that 60 minutes interview that Chopper did just before his death, and it kind of, for me, changes a lot of the outcome of the movie as well, because we talked about a bit before the amalgam character of Neville Bartos, who was a few different characters rolled into one, and one of the main ones was the outlaw bikie gang leader Sid Collins, and he was the one Chopper shot, and he took him to hospital. Chopper went to jail for it, 6 years, because said Sid Collins, I'm going to shoot you and I'll take you to the hospital. You're not going to tell on me, are you? You're not going to dob me in. And then he ended up doing, and Chopper went, I think, for 6 years. And after this movie came out, Chopper became much more of a household name, and he did a speaking tour and tours, stand-up tours around the country. And he basically, Sid Collins in, I think it's Casino, New South Wales, which is like a country town in way out in New South Wales. Sid Collins came up to Chopper after the event, and he said he was high off his nut, and he goes, "Oh, Chopper, sign this for me, mate, sign this for me." And Chopper's just looking at him, he's going, "No, I'm not signing anything for you." And keeps going on, and then they talk for a while, and he goes, I'll see you backstage. And then Chopper goes, "You want to come backstage? All right." And then he showed it, and he goes, "He was there, the fucking idiot was there." And he goes, so we had a few drinks or whatever, and he ended up getting in the car with him, and they were driving off somewhere, and they went to some place or some hotel or something, and Chopper ended up shooting him with his gun, with his own gun, and killed him. And they ended up burying him near a football field or something, not too far from not too far from a football field, just over a hill or something. And that puts a lot, because that was 2002, so the movie had been out for 2 years, and Chopper was basically a celebrity by now, and everyone was thought, he's doing these speaking tours. He's not a criminal anymore. He's like a reformed criminal,
Right.
who has been rehabilitated, and he's back in the public. And there is a thing here: you can't profit off crime, but he got around that with these sort of speaking tours and everything. And the main thing was, so he's killed this guy 2 years after it, but he never, so Sid Collins, they never knew what happened to Sid Collins. He'd just been declared missing ever since. So he admitted to this in this 60 Minutes interview, and it kind of does change a lot of how you see Chopper throughout this movie and the outcome of the movie, because they sort of do portray it as he has changed. He has not really changed, but he has left that life behind him. But as he does admit, he didn't, and it kind of, for me, does put a bit more of a dampener on the actual movie and the person in general. Like, I didn't really have a hugely high opinion of him, but it definitely changes how you view him, especially with how he talks about what happened. But that's just one of my thoughts after, because I only saw this in a 60 Minutes interview pretty recently, actually, when I was doing some research and stuff for this stream, and that really, really surprised me. So yeah, I sent that link to you, Jemo, so it's interesting to check out if you do get a chance to. I will, as I said, I will leave a link to it in the description of this video, because it is well worth watching.
Excellent. Yeah.
I kind of purposely stayed away from all real life Mark Chopper Reed stuff prior to coming on your show, because I kind of wanted to just have the movie in my head and Eric Bana. But now that we've done this, I am going to do a deep dive on the man, and it's kind of fucked up that he's talking about killing people on 60 Minutes. It was his last interview, because he was dying of cancer, and he did end up dying before the interview aired. So he it was sort of kind of, I guess, his
he knew he was gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I was saying before, where he lifts up his shirt to show the tumor, and it is huge.
Yeah, he can barely, he lays down to show it, and then he can barely get back up again. They kind of lay, because I don't think he can get up. But so the interview where that happens, they take him. I think I mentioned it, but all of this movie actually was shot in the real life prison where it happened.
Okay.
Yeah. And they take him back during the 60 Minutes interview to that prison, and he's sort of retelling a lot of the things that happened.
Right.
Yeah. But it's well worth checking out.
Definitely. Yes, I'll be checking that out later this evening, probably.
It's also worth looking into his books as well, if you can find them and you got the time.
Yeah.
I think he did 13 books that are just called Chopper, but I think it's around 5, 6, or maybe 6 and 7, 100% fiction. It even says it on it, because there was some lawsuit or something going on at the time where he could only write fiction.
It's the Proceeds of Crime Act. You can't profit.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And then after that, he went back to his. And after that, he kind of went back to his other stuff. But he also wrote children's books as well.
No shit. Wow.
When you
do you need any new children's books, Jemo?
I think so. Put some up in the library here.
Yeah. We used to have this comedy show called the Fronty John Campfire Half Hour Show, and it was a skit show, and the last skit was always an actor. It was always Chopper Reed as an actor, and he was always the final skit. and he kind of made a career of imitating Eric Bana, imitating Chopper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, man. Like, he used to do heaps of jokes and shit, like pretty spicy jokes as well.
Oh yeah.
That's
Like jokes you
that's
can only sort of say when you are in character, like a real. If you were just the comedian saying it, you'd probably not get away with it because you're as a character doing it. Yeah, he did some pretty rough stuff.
Yeah, heaps of shit that wouldn't fly now.
Oh yeah, you can, and
Yeah,
that's another thing. There's a lot of that on YouTube as well. If you like the Ronnie Johns Chopper Read, if you probably search that, but yeah, there's a lot of that on YouTube, and it is really funny.
I was watching one last night. It popped up on my recommended actually, and it was do you remember the skit where he steals Neville Bardolph's CD collection?
Yeah,
that is fucking hilarious, man.
the
you're looking
YouTube
for a laugh.
algorithm has got your number.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff I've been looking at Chopper lately, I think my entire just recommended page is all Chopper Read interviews and stuff.
Yeah, you just went on some government list.
That's
So yeah, I was going to probably go about an hour to an hour and a half. So I'll probably be wrapping it up soon. But did anyone have any final thoughts or anything that they wanted to get to that we haven't really talked about the movie, or anything about the movie in general, like Eric Bana or anything?
No, I just kind of underline. I really enjoyed rewatching this. I'd seen the movie maybe 10, 12 years ago and hadn't thought about it in a while, and was just really, it's just one of those perfect storms where it's just like the perfect actor in the perfect role with like the right filmmaker. Doesn't happen that often. And it's always nice to kind of see it when it happens. And this one was, I really enjoyed this. And then to kind of backwards chronology, realize that I've seen this filmmaker's work with Brad Pitt and on that TV show Mindhunter and whatever else he's been doing. Didn't realize this is kind of where his origin story began. So I really enjoyed this, Blake. So thanks.
Yeah, it was good. We touched. I thought we went over everything. I mean, it was an interesting movie, definitely, for sure. And like I said, my take on it was it was similar to the Snatch with Brad Pitt. It was, the humor, the violence, although this was a little more violent than that, but it was just as I was watching it, I had that feel of it.
Another one they a lot of people liken it to from UK is Bronson. There's a movie called Bronson.
Yeah, with Tom Hardy.
Yes, these movies are extraordinarily similar.
Yeah, a lot of people say that's a very much a like a spiritual sequel to Chopper. Just obviously about a different person, but yeah.
Bronson.
Yeah, that's another one worth checking out.
Yeah.
It's good, but it's like it's the other side of the same coin. Whereas like this one is like very naturalistic and feels documentary. Like that one is just like acting with a capital A, filmmaking with a capital F. Just like it's really swinging for the fences. So it's two very different approaches to a similar story. So it's pretty interesting, like double feature.
Yeah, especially in that time, well, like the early 2000s, late 90s, Australian filmmaking, it was very sort of subtle. Like there was like a lot of like The Castle, which we talked about a bit before, and there was a movie The Dish, and there was a lot of very sort of subtle humor and sort of low-key movies that sort of really, really did the job effectively. But yeah, there are two other ones we'll be getting to eventually, The Castle and The Dish.
Is Sam Neill in The Castle? I'm trying to...
No, he's in The Dish.
He's in The Dish. Okay.
Yeah, but it's the same creative team that does The Castle and The Dish. And The Dish is, Sam Neill. It's about the moon landing and Australia's role in that, the big telescope up in northern New South Wales parks. And so it's a very Australian comedy, and it's really well made, I think.
What's the one about lawn bowling?
Crackerjack.
Crackerjack.
With Mick Malloy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of around that era. There was a lot of comedies and stuff that sort of spurred off The Castle, Chopper, like those sort of things. And they never, like to me, a lot of them besides Chopper and maybe The Castle, never really got the international recognition that they sort of deserved, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's some really great Aussie comedies from that era. A lot of there's like even some Paul Hogan ones that sort of Americans don't know about that he's done later in his career, like some pretty funny Paul Hogan comedies out there, like the Strange Bedfellows. There's a few.
I'm pretty sure I've only seen him in one movie, and I'll give you one guess.
Yeah. Almost an Angel.
Oh, two guesses.
Yeah.
Crocodile Dundee 2.
That's right. I
Am I
skipped the
close?
first one.
Yeah.
Oh, this is great, Blake. Thank you so much for having us, man. I'm so excited for your new program here, and we're big fans. And Lyndon, did I say that right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And Mr. Lethal.
Hello, thank you. Nice meeting you, fellas. When I get out of Twitter suspension, I'll give this a bit of a boost for you.
Thanks,
Oh.
mate. Yeah, if you don't know,
That's right up Jemo's alley right now.
Yeah, there we go. No, I've been a good boy lately.
Yeah.
Twitter has
Lethal hasn't.
frowned upon Lethal lately, very rudely.
Let's not say what he did. Okay,
No,
not here.
well, no.
After I'll tell you.
Fair enough.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. For
Thank you.
being
Good
here.
luck.
Thanks, guys.
Glad to be part of your first show. This is awesome. Dude.
I'll just I'll quickly plug because next week it will probably be on this day, but I'm not 100% sure of the starting time yet. But this comment might give it away. But next week, next episode, I'll be doing Predator.
Oh,
Wow.
the comment made me thought we'll be doing Wild Hogs.
Wild Hogs.
That will be that might be the week after. Yeah, next week will be Predator. I've got so far I'm pretty sure I've got Jeff from the Geek Blend will be joining me, and
Nice.
maybe a few others. I'll be reaching out with sending some messages out over the next few days. But yes, next week around the same time, maybe about an hour later, maybe half an hour later, so I can still finish before Jemo's show and everything starts. But next week we've got Predator coming up, and that is one of my all-time favorite movies. So
Nice.
I'll probably not shut up about that.
You're about to hate me. I think Predator 2 is better.
I know you do. I've heard you say that before. I like Predator 2, but to me, Predator 1 is a perfect action movie.
Okay, what about Terminator 1 or Terminator 2?
Oh, that's a tough one as well. I slightly lean towards Terminator.
Yeah, okay, we agree on that one. Alien or Aliens?
Aliens.
Ooh, okay, we're divided there. Mad Max 1 or Mad Max 2?
Oh, 2.
A slightly, very, very slightly lean Mad Max 1.
Yeah, it's like a hair between them.
Actually, you know what? While we're there, I think the 5 greatest Australian movies are, in no particular order, obviously Chopper, The Castle, Gallipoli, and Mad Max 1 and Mad Max 2.
Wow.
I would put Australian Rules up there.
Yeah.
No, as a drama, as an Australian drama, man.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the actual sport.
No. The movie as a drama, that's insane.
Yeah, I remember that one now. Yeah. There's some good lists.
Excellent.
Gallipoli was going to be my first episode because it was originally going to be last week, but I had issues with the verification and everything on YouTube, which said it was going to take 24 hours. It took 40 something hours. So
Cunts.
Because it was Anzac Day before, like last week before. It was Anzac Day, so I was going to do Gallipoli as the first one because it was pretty fitting. But if we're still going, if we're still going in a year, I'll definitely do Gallipoli next Anzac Day if I haven't done it before then, because that is
insanely good. That's
that
like
is
retardedly good.
the best World War One movie ever made, in my opinion.
Yeah, and one of the greatest war movies ever made.
Yeah, hands
It's
down.
just so,
It's
and
hard.
you,
It's hard to watch around that time too. But
and you look at Mel Gibson and you go, "Holy fuck, he is so young in that."
This is the one where he like sprints for like 12 minutes or something. Yeah, it's a hell of a movie. That's good stuff.
Steel Springs.
Daniel won't be able to hear this because he hates Mel Gibson, and we actually had a discussion about this the other day that he hasn't seen the movie Gallipoli, but he can't hear us because he's on silent. But you're an idiot, Daniel, because you are missing out on a fantastic movie just because you don't like one actor, and he isn't even really a main part of it. He's sort of like a third or fourth billing. So there you go, Daniel. And Daniel will be on in 2 weeks with me to talk about Jurassic Park. So hopefully,
nice.
Hopefully he hears that by then, so he has some
Well,
sort
Blake,
of comeback.
anytime you want to go over Meet Joe Black.
Oh
right
yeah,
here, buddy.
Jemo's
Right.
favorite movie, Meet
Right
Joe Black, with one of the strangest death scenes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Greatest death scene. Greatest. Yeah.
Yeah.
We can go
I'll get that.
You just undercut anything you said about film today with that one.
Yeah.
It's a definite strange watch. I tell you that.
Yeah.
But, anything with Claire Forlani in it, I'll watch definitely.
Oh, man. Yes. Thank you, sir. No, but Blake, thank you again, man. This was a treat being on the opposite side of things, and it's very relaxing. And I'm not under the influence of anything, and I feel great. But I have a short amount of time to put.
No, I was just about to say
put some things into my body to get prepared for my.
You need some poison.
I need some good stuff.
I'm going to be wrapping it up now because do you have a link you can put in the private chat, Jemo?
Yes, sir. Let
For
me.
your channel or your stream coming up, because in about half an hour's time, Jemo, the icon, and Philip and Bryan will be live talking about pet peeves.
Pet peeves this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them was going to say Australians.
No,
It's just a YouTube channel, Blake.
If you specify it to Victorians, then that's absolutely acceptable.
Cool.
So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for being here, everyone on the panel. Truly appreciate it. I've been watching you guys for a while now, and I really enjoy your content. So I'm hoping that I can put some content that other people enjoy out there.
No, definitely.
Dude.
Yeah.
Sure you will.
You have a lifetime viewer right here.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, I'll wish everyone a farewell. So,
All right.
See you all later.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. Nice to
Thank
meet everybody here. Blake, thank you again, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, nice meeting you, fellas.
Likewise.